no touch, to be able to appreciate the vastness of these treasures. And therefore we see when it exits the womb of its mother, it screams out in agony and it cries in pain, in anguish. Too much for it to take in. Until then it was safe. Until then it was sound. Until then it was isolated. No reason to prepare itself for anything else. Suddenly it's shoved out into this world and it sees everything more than it can take in, vaster than it can appreciate, and it screams with agony. It begins to cry. Now look at ourselves. We are here in this dunya, unprepared with our spiritual senses to enter the akhirah. Our sight is not prepared, our basira is not prepared, our spiritual hearing is not prepared. We are not dead to this world yet. We have no reason to prepare for anything else since we think we're going to be here forever. And then when we are shoved into the akhirah by force, subhanallah, let it not be that we scream in agony because we are unprepared for the akhirah. As that child screams, we are unprepared to appreciate the vastness and the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the akhirah. It's just too much for us. But in contrast, those of our masters who were detached from this world completely, who were following the command of the Prophet saying, "Mutu qabla an tamutu," who had died before they died, we find that their state was as such that they weren't afraid of death. Rather, they didn't even care about death. It wasn't a concern for them. Which is why we have from Imam Ali alayhi salam, قال لابنه الحسن عليه السلام, إن أباك لا يبالي وقع على الموت أو وقع الموت عليه. That your father is not concerned. Indeed, your father is not concerned. He doesn't care whether he stumbles upon death or death comes and stumbles upon him. Not concerned. Why? He is already detached from this dunya. Nothing holding him down here. Like Imam Salih alayhi salam said, "Min nafsi bi manzilat al-mita," station of death. Imam Ali alayhi salam has already detached himself from this world. He says to his son, "Inna abaka la yubali. Waqa'a ala al-maut, or waqa'a al-maut alayhi." Whether he comes on to death now, what death comes on to him, no concern. He's ready to go. In fact, he goes a step further. Not only is he completely not concerned about death, but since he's already developed in such a way he can appreciate the hereafter, this physical world and this life here is like a prison for him, constraining him, holding him down, shackling him, which is why he expresses the words, "La muriha kal maut." Imam alayhi salam says there is no comforter, there is no source of comfort, or there is no comfort like death. He sees this thing that we fear, that we don't want to speak about, he sees it as a source of comfort. La muriha kal maut. There is no comfort like death. And on expressing these words is why the famous Islamic historian and literature expresses this about death and life in his poem, whereby he says that for those who exaggerate, for those who praise this life, this world, for those who praise it, they have exaggerated. For indeed, death holds 1,000 untold and unknown merits. From among those merits are safety from his punishment, because we're going to meet him. Allah akramul akrameen. When I meet my host, he's calling me back to him. When I meet him, why would he punish me? As a friend, I'm going back to him, not forcibly. I love to go back to him. He is hosting me. Why would he punish me? So amongst these merits are that I won't be punished because I'm meeting him. And amongst these merits are I will be separated from every wrongdoer, every unjust person in this world. I will leave them behind and go back to my beloved. Which is why he says, إِذْ مَدَحُوا الْحَيَاةَ فَأَسْرَفُوا فِي الْمَوْتِ أَلْفُ فَضِيلَةٍ لَا تُعْرَفُوا مِنْهَا أَمَانُ عَذَابِهِ بِلِقَائِهِ وَفِرَاقُ كُلِّ مُعَاشِرٍ لَا يُنْصِفُ. Death is the pleasure, life is a constriction. And keeping all this in mind, we finally realize why we started with that narration of the Prophet that we began this discussion with, whereby he sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam says, Tuhfatul mu'min al-maut. Tuhfa, what does it mean? Tuhfa in Arabic can mean an adornment, zina. Can have this meaning. Something I adorn myself with. The adornment of a mu'min is death. But tuhfa in Arabic can mean masterpiece. You know what a masterpiece is? You've all heard of Michelangelo and his Sistine Chapel? That roof of that huge church which he painted, this was his life's work. This was his masterpiece. This was what he achieved. This was what he worked for and he was proud of. Tuhfatul mu'min al-maut. That the masterpiece and the life's work and the result of a life's endeavor for a believer is death. He should achieve death. He should attain death. Mutu qabla an tamutu. Die and achieve this masterpiece of death before you actually have to go forcibly and we die. So to cover the points which we've spoken about today, number one, we said that paradise and eternal blessing can only be reached by crossing this bridge of death. So let us not fear it, let us look forward to it. We said that real death and the real meaning of death is detaching oneself from this animalistic world, from the carnal world, being dead to the world, to the dunya if you like. 3, the one who is immersed in this world and infused with this world, death will be extremely painful for him, that detachment will be difficult. Number 4, the one who has not prepared himself for death and the hereafter will not have developed those senses by which he appreciates the hereafter. So, like that baby that exits the womb of its mother and screams out, we will be screaming in the hereafter out of agony, na'udhu billah. Number 5, the one who has detached himself from his own wants, from his own desires. Death is a comfortable passage. La munihaka al-maut, as Imam alayhi salam said. And finally, number 6, we said that real death is detachment from this world, detachment from one's desires, which is the real attainment and the real masterpiece of the love of Allah, of the believer. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Tuhfatul mu'min al-maut. And so, we have been brought to that stage on the day of Ashura, on that terrible day when everybody went, when Imam alayhi salam had no one left. All the people, all the companions and all the family members, even his 6-month-old had died now. And thirst had taken over the women folk and the children. 3 days in this burning sun, on the burning sand with no water, not one sip of water to drink. O Shia, O Shia of Hussein, your Imam is marching towards his death now. Imam is going to die now in the battlefield. He's going towards his maut, towards his shahada. So finally Imam mounted his horse, heading towards the river of Furat, because the women folk and the daughters of the Ahlul Bayt had become thirsty, and the children of the Ahlul Bayt were dying of thirst now. فركب الحسين جواده يقصد الفرات بعد أن أخذ العطش من الهاشميات والأطفال. He wants to get these women and some children some water.